Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Before starting my video, if you didn't subscribe my channel yet, please do, and do not forget to turn on notifications as I'm sharing everyday great contents for you. Alright, in this video we will continue with the validations. As I mentioned before, I'm not going to use full-end validation anymore. I change my content. I'm going to use existing data annotations and model state for validations that I'm using because full-end validation, it's not giving me very flexible outcome to manipulate all data across the project. So I just changed my mind. I'm continue with these methods. Okay, first of all, I'm going to add an filter action attribute. Let's go to API project and create a folder which is called filters, and create a class validation filter attribute just inside of it. Let's investigate what we've done. I'm using inheritance from action filter attribute, and I'm overriding on action executing method comes from action filter attribute. Then I'm checking if the context model state is valid false. I mean, if it's not valid, now I'm processing. To get the errors, I'm checking model state values and using select many and getting all errors. And then using select, I'm just taking the error messages and making list. Have a look. This is a list string errors. This is exactly what we need for our exceptions. Let's have a look at our exceptions. Our custom created exceptions are looking for a list string errors parameter. Perfect. Let's close it and continue where we left. I used an if else block here. If the model state has how can I say, the model state errors has a request keyword inside it, so it means a payload format exception, and if the model state is not valid due to wrong information given by the user, we are returning request validation. What is the difference between these two? For example, while you're typing your, let me open my Postman. Where's my Postman? Open Postman. Perfect. Give me a couple of seconds. You will be understood much more better if I do a real example. Let's say you're going to send a JSON data. All right, I'm just sending random, creating random payload. Let's say product ID. Yeah, if you say, for example, this is going to be ID will be here. I'm not gonna type any ID. ID will be here. Here, okay. So then we are putting comma here. Then we send quantity, right? Let's say 5. This is how a payload is supposed to be like that. This is going to be GUID in our project. I'm just gonna type it GUID. Okay. So if I put an extra comma here, it means, as you can see, there is a, let me show you, there is a small red line underneath of the comma. It says there is an error here. Yep, trailing comma be a problem. So we have a problem. If you send it like this, so our payload is invalid. So we're going to receive payload format exception. Okay, that's why I'm dividing the payload exception and the validate exception to make much more deep detail to our user. Okay, let's close it, leave. Alright, so validation filter attribute action filter attribute section is completed now. Let's have a look the next. So we need to register this validate filter attribute to our program CS file. To do that, guys, we're going to add these option to add controller section. Basically, we are just typing an option and adding a new filter, which is called validation filter attribute. You just basically need to add the namespace just up there and it's ready to go. And also, once we add these validations, I'm going to disable automatic validation came from API behavior options. If you didn't disable this, your validation will be done automatically, and your data annotation, some of your data annotation, especially required ones, the other ones is going to be work, but required ones are not able to work if you not disable API behavior options. So basically, I'm adding these codes and I'm suppressing the model set invalid filter true. Perfect. Now all we need to do is assigning our validations to our DTOs. Okay, let's have a look. So we used customer DTO, invoice item DTO, invoice DTO, and product DTO, right? Perfect. Let's have a look at all DTOs now. Where is my domain? Entities, customer DTO. As you can see, I added required and max length for validation section. This is how I'm adding my validations for, using by data annotations. And it is going to be same as, where is my invoices? Invoice DTO. As you can see, this is required and max length, required. So if you try to send an empty purchase products or not purchase product, you're going to get error messages, which is going to be required. Let's have a look to products DTO. It is going to be same here as well. Alright, seems perfect. Let's have a look the invoice item DTO. I didn't add any validation here because just imagine if you create an invoice and if you try to add 100 different product and some of them has product ID, some of them don't have any quantity, so you're going to receive more than one error messages. So I don't want it. It's not acceptable. I'm going to show how it's gonna look like. Let's finish this process first and I'm going to show why I didn't use that validation. Instead of that, I did validation in our invoice CS file. Let's have a look at our invoice CS file. We have a create method. As you can see, I updated my validations here. This one, invoice cannot be created, was the initial validation I created previously in our lessons. Actually, I updated the bedrock as exception, a previous lesson. And now I add, if the customer ID is empty, I'm returning a bedrock as customer ID is required. And if the purchase products has any item, has any product ID with empty, so we're returning these error messages. And same as the quantity, if given purchase products, if any of them has a quantity smaller than 0, we're going to receive this error message. This is just one message for all items. Alright. By the way, why I did a customer ID with empty exception? Okay, let me give you an example. Let's go to invoice DTO. So we have a required here, right? So actually there is no meaning to adding required here because customer ID, the GUID, is a value reference. If you send a null object for customer ID, it is going to be like GUID empty 00-000-00, something like that. So it's going to it cannot be null anyway. But just in case, extra safety measurement, I just add this one. But to make a validation check, I'm adding I just add this validation if the customer ID is GUID empty. Let's have a look to definition. A read-only instance of GUID structural hold value is all zeros. If the customer ID is GUID empty, we're returning this exception. Perfect. If I had the same value object for other entities like customer or products, I was planning to add this validation in their class inside, something like this, similar this. I'm assuming you understand how we are managing our validations. Perfect. Let's close everything. Let's save everything. Anything should we do now? We created validation filter attribute. We registered it. We add our validations, and we manipulate. We did changes on invoice CS file. Okay, perfect. Everything seems perfect to me. Let's run the application and let's try our validations step by step. I'm waiting my application to be built right now. Our container is raising up, all up and ready right now. Yep, have a look. This is solution containers. As you can see, we have MS SQL, YouTube API, clean architecture section. Perfect. All right, let's continue with the invoice section. Let's try to create an invoice. I'm just basically delete everything. I'm just gonna send empty payload and see what's gonna happen. As you can see, data is null. We're returning result pattern, by the way. The status code is 400. Let's have a look at the errors. This is payload format error, and non-empty request body is required, and the request field is required. This is our error messages for request, guys. Okay, let's bring it back. Now I'm gonna delete the PO number. Let's execute it. As you can see, this is a validation error. The PO number field is required. Perfect. Let's put an extra comma and see what's gonna happen. This is a payload format error. This is the detail of exception. Trailing comma at the end of which is not supported in this mode. Exactly saying where it's happening. Alright, now I'm going to add a couple of different products, and I'm gonna delete a product ID. I'm gonna delete a quantity ID, and let's execute. Okay, we forgot to remove comma or something. Is there any comma? There is a comma error here. Let me have a look quickly. Yep, this comma is an extra because we deleted quantity. Let's execute. As you can see, product ID or IDs are missing in your project list. So first problem comes from the ID. Let's bring it back. Let's delete the quantity now. Execute. Oh, we got comma error again. Let's delete this one. Yep. The project quantity must be set and must be positive number in your purchase product list. As you can see, it is guiding you perfectly. Let's give an empty list. Empty invoice cannot be created. This is a validation error again. We can make it bed request actually. It must be a bed request, right? I remember the bed request validation. I forget to fix it anyway. Let me have a look to exceptions. Yeah, bed request exception keeping validation error. That's because I'm gonna fix after I finish my complete test. So the validation is working anyway. All right. It seems all good, guys, to me. Let's reset everything. Let's clear whatever. Let's cancel. Let's try to update a product or invoice. So we need to give invoice ID. First of all, let's get all invoices. Do we have any one? Yeah, we have one. Let's get this. Let's give the invoice ID. Now I'm gonna delete everything and let's execute. As you can see, payload format error has been thrown. Now I'm gonna delete everything, just sending PO number. It is going to be a payload format error again. So let's send an empty data. I'm not quite sure empty isn't going to work or not. Let's have a look. Yeah, this is the validation error. The PO number field is required because we sent empty, I mean null object. So we're throwing an error. Anything else? Should I test it? Let's validate the object. Test PO number. Let's execute. As you can see, 204. This is completed. Now I would like to try the concurrency exception, but as you can see, test PO number has been arrived. Yeah, I would like to try to test concurrency exception, but I guess to do that I need to use my debug and I need to change my data just before update. To do this scenario, I'm going to open my Postman as well. Okay, open Postman. Let's go to workspace. Let's bring our URL and it's going to be API invoices and it is going to be update. Let's make a put. This is the ID. Yeah, body. Okay, let's send an empty body and see what's gonna happen. Okay, unsupported media type. Did we do something wrong? Let me have a look quickly. Unsupported media type. Alright. Let me have a look. Where is my Swagger documentation? Yeah, here we go. API invoices, invoice ID put. This is put. Invoices and invoice ID. Is there any problem? Let's send empty. Yeah, validation error. The PO number field is required. So if you send empty one, I'm just requiring unsupported media type because there is nothing we're sending. That's because we're receiving this error messages anyway. Okay, now I need to send, let's say, PO number, PO number. I'm gonna give 0000000 full of 0. Okay, but I'm gonna do these changes. Let me, where's my, yeah, okay, so I'm gonna put a breakpoint to API controller invoices. Where is the update invoice? This is the update invoice section. If I, let's make a version 2. If I execute it, it is catch by here. Perfect. Actually, you know what? The Postman won't work. Now I'm going to go my dbeaver. I'm gonna change the data manually because the postman, when I set the postman, I'm not able to send because we are debugging it right now. Let's continue step by step. I need to get the okay. Now we get the invoice now, but I didn't update the invoice yet. But before updating invoice, okay, before updating invoice, let's go to all invoices. What was the ID of invoice? 5F3. This is the invoice. This is the PO number. Okay, I'm gonna change it. 11111. Refresh. Yes, update it. Now let's continue. Click continue and see what's gonna happen. Yep, as you can see, we received a concurrency error. A concurrency conflict occurred while saving changes. What does that mean? If you're trying to update a data, and just before you update it, if somebody else changed the data just before you, you're going to receive that error messages to keep data much more safe. I'm assuming you understand what I'm trying to do in this section. So concurrency exception is working as well. All the other tests our tests are successfully working. I'm gonna close all of them. Let's stop the application. Leave. Perfect. Okay. Let's fix the exception naming in our domain exceptions. Where is my bed request must be the bed request. Previous lesson, I remember I did, but I guess I forgot to save it. Bed request exception, and the other one was, I guess we did another one, another fixing. Is that in? Let me have a quick look. Where's the exceptions? No, not you. Application, no. API. Let me have a quick look. Is there any missing part here? Yeah, the seek and advice. This is what I forget to fix it. Perfect. All done, guys. So this is how we are dealing with the validations and how we are dealing with the exception handler. All set, all working very smoothly and very perfect. I'm assuming you liked the video, and if you crash the like button, I will be really appreciated. And if you drop comment below the video and really help my videos to recognized by the YouTube algorithm, much more popular, it really helped my my channel future. Take care of yourself. See you on next lesson, guys. Bye bye.